right, and welcome to another episode of Vinny Presents. I'm your host, Vinny from South Philly, and today, direct from Sweden, we have Elin Margareta Nordin. Elin, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm good. I'm really good. How are you?
Very good, thank you. I'm pleased to have you, and we let's jump right into it. Tell the guests everything about yourself.
I am from Sweden and I'm an actress. I also run my own podcast, do film editing, filmmaker. I'm just very much like in love with film and creating. So I'm a huge creator.
Fantastic. Well, that's the spice of life. I'm
Yeah.
uh, I'm getting my bearings too as a filmmaker, and also as a screenwriter. So I share in the love.
Yeah.
So then tell us, how did you get started? Because I know you did live in LA for a little bit too. Tell us a little bit about that.
I started. I've always wanted to act ever since I was a kid. And the first time I stood in front of a professional camera was I was 15 years old, and I went to this um, amazing high school that let us be creative and understand how film worked. If you wanted to be an actor, you also had to understand how filming and how all the crew worked. So they also put us to understand the cameras and editing, and that's how I started. And I lived in LA. I lived in and studied at Santa Monica College when I turned 21 over there. So yeah, it was many years ago.
Must have been an amazing experience, right?
Yeah, I mean, LA is. I heard somebody. I might quote them wrong, but there was someone who called it like a little wonderland, and it is true, but also wonderland can sometimes be too much. And I have a hate and love relationship for LA. It's still gonna be amazing for me, and I'm still gonna defend it, but then I'm also gonna be like cursing it out and say like, why are you doing this? So
I think unfortunately a lot of cities are like that right now in the United States and maybe in other parts of the world too. We share in that, sometimes the conflicted, there's, but that's how it is unfortunately right now. So and I live there too, so I understand what you're saying.
mhm.
um so you took, look, you went there very young. You had the courage to just pick up and go. Did you have anybody there that you were friendly with, or did you were just totally new and you knew no one?
Actually, when I went, I had no idea. I didn't know anybody, but I went through this organization that was sending students to different schools all over the world, and it was also for them to sort of like keep us safe and and so yeah, we sort of knew each other if we went to the same school during the same time. But when I moved to LA and I ended up in an apartment building, there was a girl who I went to high school with, and she was like, "Oh my God, we're both there." So it's, but otherwise, I just went there all by myself.
So you're telling me that you coincidentally were living in the same building as someone from Sweden that you went to high school with. Is that right?
Yeah,
Wow.
she was the one who actually, she was the one who came up to me. She's like, "Hey, I remember you." I was like, "Whoa."
That's incredible. I mean, I don't even know, the chances are like in the millions. Wow, that's really incredible. Well, I mean, also it's part of what I like to believe in as far as serendipity, or like
Mhm.
things happen for a reason, right? And
Yeah.
what year was that around? Was that like the last
It
10
was
years?
in, yeah, in 2007.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was there in 2008. So probably, right around that same time period I was there.
Mhm.
Um, and I haven't been there since, but I know it's changed quite a bit. But it is
Yeah.
still a magical place, for all its faults, and never a knock on LA, but for all its challenges, and it's still Hollywood itself is still a land of magic. It's got a lot of history, as you know.
Mhm.
I mean, there's so much has been said about it, but it's incredible that you were able to do it. A lot of people, I'm sure, dream of doing what you did. Um, so when you were there, did you meet anybody, and that became a good contact for any stars? Anybody that that you could say was really an amazing experience?
Yeah, I met so many wonderful people. Some I'm still friends with, some I friends through social media with still, and we keep a good like an eye on each other. But there was a lot of amazing people. There was this guy named Ed who I met. He was just absolutely wonderful. He's a producer, and he was we went to the same like school, and he was just so great and wonderful, and really like made you sort of like help you ease into LA, and just be just a good sounding board when you had something like you wondered about, someone. And he was very good at like saying like these people are sort of like not really good, because there's a lot of people in LA who's they're always somebody. But Ed was really the legit, and I still keep in contact with him. I think he's absolutely wonderful. And I mean, and then LA, of course, LA is something that you're always going to keep in contact with because it's always, part of you. So that's, something magical that happened that I went there.
Yeah, I can identify with that because I still talk to some people from back then, people I work with. Even now, I still have a ton of friends there and even some family, and I miss it very much. I'd like to go, but you know how obligations are as you get older, with family and things like that. But you know, who knows? I have a feeling I'll be there, hopefully in the near future. Any plans of you returning at all?
Well, I do have plans of flying back to America, but the last time I went to LA, or at least America, I went to LA, and I feel that I've already been to LA. I used to live there. I visit so many times. I do love it. I still hate it. I love it and I hate it. But I also, the last time I went to America, a friend of mine took me to Vegas because I'd never been. And she's like, let's go to Vegas. And I just like got to see Vegas for the first time. And people are like, have you never been to Vegas? But so I went, and I feel that I want to explore more of America, and is that's what I want to do, and I want to discover it. Like I did a this and my on my father's side, my father's grandmother sister emigrated to America, so she emigrated to Chicago. So I want to, of course, see Chicago because that's part of my family too, and so I want to go there and see it.
That's yeah, it's interesting, and being the fact that you're from Sweden, I know for Philadelphia itself has had. I mean, some of its earliest settlers were the Swedish. We have a
Hmm.
Swedish museum here in Philadelphia, and they were here before. I mean, them and the Germans were probably here like in the very. I'm talking about the 1600s, like a very long time ago. So it's
Yeah,
an amazing culture. So I'm sure you're very proud.
I'm really really proud of coming from where I come from, and also have the experience, because people say like back in the days you could never travel. Actually, they could because they traveled not by plane, but they traveled by boat, and they always got themselves somewhere. And it was maybe sometimes scary to leave family and friends and everything that you knew, but you got to see so much, and I want to see so much. And now we actually, you and I and all of us now, we're in a society where we can hop on board of a plane and travel and just be there in a couple of hours instead of like a couple of days, couple of weeks. And but we get to enjoy it. And so I love traveling, and I want to see so much more of America. And I have a thing maybe going to New Orleans. That's a big thing I want to go to.
You want to go to all the party towns, Vegas, New Orleans. That's great.
It's more like yeah, I mean it's not about party, but history. I love history. I love, I mean, Vegas. I tried the machines, so um, but I Vegas was wonderful. It was just a town in the middle of a desert, and people are like enjoying to be there, and I was like, oh, that's something. And yeah.
Yeah, I was always really like blown away of how they could actually have developed a major like bustling city with all the energy it uses up and all the electricity just in the middle of a desert. To me, it's just like astonishing that they were able to do that and make that
Hmm.
place into something. Um,
Yeah.
it just shows like the amazing ingenuity. Um, so how about in Sweden? Are you still involved in the film business at all, or what are you doing there?
Yes, I'm still involved. I still film, and I'm being creative, and I work right now. I work with a Swedish filmmaker, an actress also, and we work on two projects together. So one just recently started. The other one is uh, it's still in the stages. Well, both of them just recently started. One is in the stages of a script, and it we hope to start filming soon. But yeah, so it's two projects that I'm working on right now.
Now, do your colleagues treat you with a little bit more respect since you lived in LA?
No, no, here in Sweden, it, with LA, and it's gonna be like, oh, okay, so you live outside, like in LA. Oh, okay, that's cool. But can you hold a camera? Can you act? Can you edit? It's very important that you're not someone who just say that you are an actor. You have to prove that you are. And so, but if somebody is interested of going, of course we're gonna ask questions, but it's not like somebody's gonna treat you that you're better. But they're gonna be like, okay, that's cool, and 99% it's gonna be like, oh, I lived in Boston or New York, or I also went to Santa Monica College. So it's like we all have pretty much the same experience, so we can bond in that kind of way too.
Okay, so then that's actually the way it should be, though. Like
Hmm.
merit based. And you also have a web show, right, where you deal with the supernatural. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's my podcast, The Untitled Show by EMN, and it's about the supernatural. I talk about ghosts and hauntings, the unknown, and also unsolved cases and solved cases. And I lean into a lot of history and what it was about and who the people were, what happened to them, if somebody has been found, if somebody hasn't been found, if there is a solved case or not a solved case, and with ghosts. I it's something I talk about, and I love it because I find it so fascinating and interesting, and it just makes me happy because like uh, I can talk about it for hours, and then I decided, okay, how about just record it, just release it.
Yeah, and paranormal is always a very fascinating topic. I mean, I don't know anyone who doesn't love it. It really is a fascinating thing, and people continue to wonder, is there something out there? I mean, I believe there is. I mean, there's probably more and more evidence these days with technology. It shows there's something
Mhm.
something that just really is unexplained. Is there any episode or any event that really something that really stands out in your experience with that show?
Well, um, there is several cases that I'm still going back to. I still look up and just making sure that I get more news about it, like if there is about missing people, especially this girl named Tiara. I'm gonna pronounce her name wrong. I do apologize, but she went missing, and her family still hasn't found her. Um, and I'm just gonna and it Tiara Williams, and I go back and I always double check. Is there any more news? What do the police know? What do the family know? And sadly, as far as I know, that there isn't. any more like news about it. And then there is one actress who went missing in the 40s. They sort of connect her to the Black Dahlia case, and there may or may not be connected, but it there is a lot of cases that stand out, but those are the two ones that sort of stick to my mind right now. Um, but I have another case that is coming up. That one is it's really heavy, and that one stands out.
Now, again, let's repeat the name of that podcast and where can
Mhm.
we find it?
The Untitled Show by EMN, and you can find it on Acast and Spotify.
Great. And we'll make sure in the description box here in this show, we'll have the links to all your stuff this way. And I encourage everybody's watching, please make sure you follow her and support her. Ellen, so what about the future? What are we going to be looking forward to doing? More of the obviously more of the podcast. Anything else?
Oh yeah, the podcast I'm gonna continue with, and continue filming. Like I said, I have two projects that is in the works right now, especially here in Sweden. But then I have a few other projects that are also in the works, but they are in London, and I work with this great filmmaker named Mark Denham, and so I hope to continue working with Mark and also with the Swedish filmmaker. Her name is Anna Maria Victorson. I hope to continue working with her. I worked with her before. She's absolutely wonderful. Um, and I have a few photo shoots that are coming up also.
That's wonderful. Well, it looks like you're very busy, and that's a great thing. And it's amazing to hear your background and all the things you've gone through and done. And it's really nice to see that you've returned home and you're being successful, in your own land. I think it's a beautiful thing, and I think that also shows your character because a lot of people sometimes just, go to LA and they just stay there, or they win, lose or draw, and they never look back. But you decide to go back and you want to stay true to your roots. So I think it's really a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I love I love LA. I love America. I have a plan that I'm going to commute, that I'm gonna fly back and forth because after being away for so many years, uh, from my home country and from my family, I realized that I love my family and I miss them so much. And I can still get everything I want in London and in LA and any place I want by just traveling. And I know it's gonna like be annoying and keep me away from my family during those times, but I still get to come home, and that I love.
And that's the most important thing, and that's
Mhm.
you know, uh, you know, something with our culture as Italians, like really treasure family, and obviously we're not, many other cultures feel the same way, but there's something to be said about realizing that there's only but so much time that you have with them, so it's good to spend the time that you can with them, and still, you could still, think out with technology and the way just so you and I are communicating right now. We
Yeah,
could be so many hundreds and even thousands of miles away and be able to communicate, do things, collaborate, work on things together. And it's the real beauty of technology. It could be a bad thing sometimes, but this is the real bonus of the way things are these days.
yeah.
Well, it's great. I mean, I love everything that you're doing. I love your story. Um, any I like to always make sure I have our guests say a little something. Oh, I think I lost you for a second there. There you go.
Oh,
Okay. That's okay. We'll edit that.
yeah.
Uh, so, is there any last words you want to say to anybody who may be in Sweden or Europe or somewhere in the world that is really wanting to go to LA and Hollywood? Any advice for that person that wants to go out there and just experience it?
Yeah, I mean, if they want to experience going to school, go through an organization that sends students. So you get to live in a student home, you get to go to the school, you get to experience the life as a college student, and also you have the security from your home. You're not alone. You get to have them and be safe. If you feel that you just want to travel and see, then do it. I encourage people to travel, and to experience, LA, but also experience, not just LA, but also other parts. Um, just if you have that feeling where it's like you can't do it, well, actually you can, and it's it's only you who can stop yourself, nobody else.
That's very true. Very true. It takes some sacrifice, but and commitment and courage. But if you do it,
Mhm.
I'm sure you'll grow from the experience. I know I did. Well, Ellen, I just want to thank you. I think we're going to wrap up our show, and I am so happy I had this opportunity to speak with you. And again, everybody listening out there, please make sure you go ahead and follow Ellen. We'll have all the links, and hopefully we'll have you on again soon. In the meantime, our guest has been Elin Margareta Nordin. Please don't forget to subscribe to me. I'm on YouTube under Vinny Presents and podcast. You can listen everywhere from iHeartRadio, Amazon, Google, you name it. So tune in. Ellen, thank you so much for being here. Hope to see you again soon. It's
Thank you so much for having me. I love being, on your show.
my pleasure, and it's a pleasure for all our guests to have you as well. We'll see you again soon.